There's a sentence most people say about money that sounds responsible, but quietly ruins their future. I'll get serious later. Later when I earn more. Later when life slows down. Later when I finally feel ready. It feels harmless. Mature even, like you're being patient instead of reckless. But here's the uncomfortable part. Waiting to get serious is already a financial decision, and it's one of the most expensive ones you'll ever make. Not because you're doing anything obviously wrong, but because nothing feels wrong while it's happening. Bills are paid. You're not in massive debt. You're not broke, so you assume you're fine. And that's exactly why this is dangerous. Because the cost of waiting doesn't show up as pain. It shows up as lost versions of you that never get to exist. The calmer, freer, more in-control version. The one who doesn't flinch when money comes up. The one who doesn't secretly feel behind. And once you notice that, it's hard to unsee. So the real question isn't, am I okay right now? It's, what is my future self quietly paying for my comfort today? And that's where this gets uncomfortable. Idea 1, the illusion of I'm still young. There's a thought almost everyone in their 20s has, even if they never say it out loud. I've got time. Not in an arrogant way, more like a soft internal voice. You see people older than you stressed about money and you think, that won't be me. I'll figure it out before then. And statistically, you're right about one thing. Time is your biggest advantage. But that's also the trap. Because when something feels abundant, we treat it as cheap. You don't protect what feels infinite. You protect what feels scarce. So time becomes something you casually spend instead of intentionally use. You spend it, figuring yourself out, trying different jobs, upgrading your lifestyle, telling yourself you're learning, which sounds healthy. And some of it is. But here's the hidden part nobody tells you. Time only compounds if you give it something to compound. Otherwise, it's just time passing. And the cost of waiting isn't missing out on money. It's missing out on momentum. Because momentum is what turns I should into I already am. Once a system exists, even a tiny one, your identity shifts. You stop being someone who plans to get serious about money and become someone who already takes care of this part of life. That identity change is massive. It reduces stress. It creates confidence. It quietly upgrades how you make decisions. Without it, everything feels temporary. Your habits, your goals, even your future. And here's the uncomfortable thought. Most people don't delay because they're irresponsible. They delay because their life doesn't hurt enough yet. No crisis, no panic, no real urgency. So they wait, and the bill shows up later, with interest. Open loop. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. Not financially, but psychologically. And that's where this gets worse. Idea 2. Lifestyle inflation, the silent leak. Let's talk about something that doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like progress. You get a raise, or a better job, or just more stable income. So your life upgrades. Nicer place, more subscriptions, better food, more convenience. Nothing crazy, just a slightly better version of your current life, which makes sense. You worked for it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't get richer, they just get more expensive. Their stress stays the same. Their financial control stays the same. Only the numbers change. It's like running on a treadmill that speeds up every year. You're moving more, but not getting anywhere. And the dangerous part? This feels normal. Because everyone around you is doing the same thing. So your baseline for doing fine slowly shifts upward. What used to feel luxurious becomes standard. What used to feel expensive becomes justified. And without realizing it, you lock yourself into a lifestyle that requires you to keep performing. Which means you can't slow down. You can't take risks. You can't step away. Not because you're broke, but because your life is calibrated to your income. So even a small disruption feels terrifying. That's not wealth. That's dependency dressed up as success. And this is where the waiting hurts. Because if you delay building financial systems early, your lifestyle grows first. And once lifestyle grows, it becomes emotionally harder to step backwards. Humans hate loss more than they enjoy gain. So instead of asking, how do I build freedom? You start asking, how do I maintain this? And that's a subtle but permanent shift. Discomfort moment. If your income disappeared for 6 months, would your life get quieter or chaotic? Most people don't like the answer. Open loop. And the worst part is, this leak compounds invisibly. Which brings us to the part almost nobody calculates. Idea 3. Opportunity cost. The life you didn't buy. There's a cost that never shows up in your bank account. Because it's not money you lost. It's money you never gave a chance to exist. That's opportunity cost, but not in a math sense. in a life sense. It's the city you didn't move to, the business you didn't try, the break you couldn't take, the stress you kept carrying, not because you were incapable, but because your money had no leverage, no buffer, no system, no quiet engine working in the background. So every decision felt heavy, risky, stressful, like a gamble, which makes you choose safety. Over and over, same job, same routines, same financial ceiling. Not because you love it, but because uncertainty feels more expensive than stagnation. And here's the scary part. Most people think their future will be shaped by big decisions, career moves, investments, opportunities. But in reality, it's shaped by what they're financially allowed to say yes to. And that's determined years earlier, by boring choices, quiet systems, invisible habits. Waiting doesn't feel like choosing no. It feels like choosing not yet. But not yet is still a decision, and life treats it as one. Pause and think. What opportunities in your life right now feel just slightly out of reach? That's not bad luck. That's financial positioning, and positioning is built slowly or not at all. Open loop, which leads to the most uncomfortable realization of all. Idea 4, the emotional cost, identity lag. This is the part nobody talks about. The real cost of waiting isn't money. It's identity lag. That feeling that you're behind your own potential. That quiet stress when money comes up in conversation. That low-level anxiety when you think about the future. That sense that other people have it together more than you. Even if they don't, it creates a split inside you. Who you are today versus who you think you should be by now. And that gap is exhausting, because it leaks into everything. How confident you feel, how bold your plans are, how much control you think you have. You start overthinking, over-planning, over-consuming content, but underacting. Because deep down you know something important is missing. Not knowledge, structure. A system that runs even when motivation disappears. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most financial stress isn't about money. It's about self-trust. Do I trust myself to handle the future? Do I trust myself to be disciplined? Do I trust myself not to mess this up? Waiting slowly erodes that trust. Because every year you don't act, your brain collects evidence. I guess this just isn't something I'm good at. And identity follows evidence. So you don't feel like someone who builds wealth. You feel like someone who hopes things work out. That's a dangerous place to live, because hope without systems creates anxiety. But systems without hype create peace. Open loop. And once you finally see this pattern, the real question becomes, why do smart people still wait? Here's the reframe that changes everything. Most people think getting serious about money means cutting fun, being strict, living smaller, obsessing over numbers. That's why they delay. It feels like punishment, but in reality, getting serious is the opposite. It's reducing the number of things you have to worry about. It's designing a system where your future is quietly being handled. Your lifestyle isn't fragile. Your options expand instead of shrink. Not because you're rich, but because you're positioned. Positioned people feel calm, not excited, not hyped, not flashy, calm. They don't rush. They don't panic. They don't feel behind. They just move steadily. And the key shift is this. Wealth isn't built through intensity. It's built through inevitability. Small, boring, consistent actions that make your future unavoidable. Not impressive, not viral, not sexy, but powerful. Because once a system exists, time works for you automatically. You don't need motivation. You don't need discipline. You don't need to feel ready. It just runs. And slowly, quietly, your identity changes. You stop being someone who's trying to figure money out and become someone who's already handled it. That's real freedom. Not the freedom to buy things, the freedom to breathe, to think long-term, to take risks, to choose based on life, not fear. And the hidden truth? The best time to build this was years ago. The second best time is the moment you stop waiting. Not dramatically, not emotionally, not with pressure, just calmly deciding. I don't need to rush, but I also don't need to delay, because waiting feels safe, but systems feel safe forever. And once you understand that, you stop chasing money and start designing a life that doesn't require stress to sustain. There's a version of wealth nobody talks about. It's slow, it's quiet, it's deeply unsexy, but it works almost unfairly well. And most people ignore it because it doesn't feel exciting enough, which is exactly why it's powerful. The next video breaks down that exact path. Not the fast one, not the flashy one, the one that actually survives real life. The slow path to wealth nobody wants, but works. If this video made you slightly uncomfortable, that one will make you calm in the best way possible. That's the next step.